And we had a call yesterday on the afternoon show. Well, it wasn't us, obviously, but the fan had a call yesterday on the afternoon show, Afternoon Drive, with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin. I almost called him Nick Peterlin. I know who those guys are. Damn it, that sounds so bad. I'm sorry. Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin. Jim in Strongsville called. This caught to your attention. You go, you know what? Damn it, let's answer this question here. So here's Jim in Strongsville yesterday on Afternoon Drive.
Jim in Strongsville.
I don't think Shedeur should be a big topic of conversation in any interview. I know you guys are going to say he's the guy that started the last game for the Cleveland Browns, and I know you think that Barry's really high on Shedeur Sanders. You know what? Is Barry going to bet his job on it? Because guess what next year is? He'd be betting his job that Shedeur is going to get him enough and look good enough to get him into the next season. That's why this isn't a very good job, guys. It's not a very good job because if you're a head coach coming in, you know your GM's on the hot seat. You know your GM has a hard time drafting players.
Jim, real quick, I think that's the number one question if I'm a head coaching candidate. Is this a transitional period with Andrew, or is Andrew safe? Because I think it's incredibly important with what Jimmy Haslam just did that Andrew isn't on the hot seat.
Kick Andrew out the door and be like, all right, let me talk to Jimmy.
Yeah, let's get this guy. Because in fairness, real quick, I think you bring up a good point, but if Andrew's a lame duck, then it does become a bad job.
Great conversation by all three guys involved there. I'm serious. Now, Jim in Strongsville's called this show many times. Sometimes we've agreed. Obviously, we haven't at times. But I thought it was a great question asked. First off, I think that if Jimmy Haslam's making the decision to keep Andrew Barry as of right now, and hey, if he's that starstruck by John Harbaugh, whoever might be out there, then maybe that idea would change. I brought up Liam Cohen in the situation with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I wouldn't be so starstruck if I were the Jaguars about Liam Cohen, but he didn't want Trent Baalke. They made the decision they wanted him, so they got rid of Trent Baalke to bring him in. I don't know if Jimmy Haslam would be that way with Andrew Barry. I don't think he would be. So I think that the answer would be is like, no, he's not in a transitional period. We're working through this. We believe in him. We believe in our process. We are working through this, and then that might be a decision. But when it comes to Shedeur, and it does become, if you were Andrew Barry, would you attach your job to Shedeur Sanders for the future? One, I still, and there are, because there's such a fraction in the fans, and I think a lot of people want to say that Kevin didn't like Shedeur and that Andrew did, and since Andrew is still employed and Kevin is visiting the Giants, I think, today, that Andrew loves him and he run out. I do not believe that. I think they took a flyer on him. I really do not believe that Andrew had intentions on drafting Shedeur. I don't believe it. But I think that there have been some flashes of going, hey, let's see what he has. I don't think Andrew's attaching his job to Shedeur. I think in that press conference it proved it. I think he's open to anything. I think he's open to starting Shedeur. I think he's open to letting Deshaun Watson win that job in the fall and start that season.
It's not as crazy as what we would have said even, 5 months ago, right?
Yeah.
It's not that crazy. And the reality is, it's not just a Shedeur thing. He happens to be here, and he started the last, how many games of the year? Was it 6 or 7?
7.
Okay.
Went 3 and 4.
That was awesome that they got to evaluate that. And there were obviously some highs, a lot more lows, but at least you got to see it. Especially considering it seemed like Kevin Stefanski didn't want to see it the entire year because he thought he was such a developmental quarterback that he was going to redshirt, which, of course, as we know, is pretty crazy in today's NFL. So it's not just about Shedeur. It's about any of the quarterbacks. Anybody he trades for, and obviously the Mac Jones question continues to come up. But I was listening to Zach Jackson's podcast, and he mentioned trading a second for Mac Jones. I mean, you're in a desperate situation.
If you trade a second for Mac Jones, we're not talking about quarterbacks anymore. You're trading a second for Mac Jones, and you're signing Mac Jones.
Well, yeah, and there are so many teams that need quarterbacks. That's why Malik Willis, I saw yesterday, again, this is like the third time I've seen Malik Willis getting at least $45 or $50 million. Malik Willis, who has started how many games in the NFL?
A handful.
And when he started, it's been decent. But are you handing your keys to him? But again, there might be a desperate team that does, because they might have to.
Well, maybe you're not signing immediately, but I mean, you're doing that. You're giving up a second round pick with the intention that you're going to sign him to some sort of level.
Well, this is why whoever it is, whether it's just sticking with Shedeur, whether it's giving Dylan Gabriel another shot, or whether it's Deshaun Watson or trading for somebody else, whether it's Tyler Huntley or Tyler Snoop Huntley, right? whether it's any of these guys, this could be it. These might be your last 17 games as the GM.
Well, there's only one quarterback that you can guarantee is going to be on the roster next year.
Deshaun. Yeah.
Right? Because of the money. It's not because of his play or anything like that.
No.
He's the only one you can guarantee. And if I'm Andrew Berry, I would tell whoever the prospective coach is that, yeah, he has to be on the roster. The rest of them explain to me why they aren't, and we'll make it work somewhere, because they're not going to cost you anything to cut. And it sucks. You cut guys after you drafted them, but you got to do what you got to do
and that does happen.
Job.
Yeah, that does happen when there's turnover.
I got to tell you though, like, unless I was able to get the Mac Jones or the Malik Willis, and because they might love those guys way more than I do. All right, think about it like this: I'm in no hurry to cut Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders. Maybe the supercomputer
I'm not
can be a supercomputer. I don't know. And a
I don't really care right now. It's the middle of January, right?
Yeah, you're under no time constraints.
But okay, Dylan Gabriel certainly is smart. I don't think he can push the ball down the field. Shedeur Sanders, there's definitely been some questionable decision making. I think he's gotten a little bit confused back there at times, a la when he fell the other day. But definitely there's something there where he's not afraid to push the ball down the field. He is obviously a very accurate quarterback, and I do think he's a fast learner. So there are things that both of these guys show that they could possibly do in the future, but neither of them you're saying, oh, yeah, he's the franchise guy. Neither of them. Deshaun, I just don't want to have happen where you're finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel on this deal, and you could finally move on, and his deal has been a dark cloud over this fan base basically since day one. At least when the season started back in 2022, that's been that contract for this fan base. And I finally see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and then he comes in and plays just well enough to make you kick the tires on him. Where it's like, hey, we finished this record in 2026. We're not going to be in this spot in the draft. Do we want to give up this many assets for that guy? Like, I'm not going to be fooled by 30-year-old multiple injury guys because we paid him a lot of money already, because my favorite team paid him a lot of money already. That ain't going to happen. So if you think I'm pretty stubborn about some things now, wait until we get to that level. But that's where they're at right now. But I think, Andrew Berry, one, you are in a position where you may have to attach your job to Shedeur Sanders, whether you like it or not.
But when I heard the afternoon show also after that, because they had a great conversation about it. And then, Nick was saying, hey, when there is an interview, at any point, if somebody comes into the interview and starts talking bad about what they've seen out of Shedeur or what they've heard about Shedeur, he's like, well, I'm crossing that coach off the list. And I understand what Nick is saying. Nick is like, hey, sometimes you just got to coach the guys you have, right? But I also think we're in such a transition period, and because he was a fifth-round pick and not a first, and this is the key difference. This is why we went over this ad nauseum the entire year of the difference between a first and a second all the way down to fifth is you do not have some spot carved out for you. The organization has not made some significant investment.
No.
Even though they gave them the football at the end of the year.
Let me ask you this.
Plenty of teams give guys opportunities. How many quarterbacks started this year in the NFL? Was it another 60 this year? Did you see week 18? A lot of teams gave the balls to a lot of guys.
I have another theory behind that for another day, by the way, about why so many guys start. So, I think it has something to do with the transfer portal that we don't even talk about. Go ahead.
So just the fact, by virtue of him being on the team and selling jerseys, that to me does not disqualify a coach. You want guys to be honest. And if guys come in and say, hey, we scouted Shedeur in college. We didn't like a lot of what we saw. We might like him as a person, but then we saw him on the field with you guys and it was ugly. You can't disqualify the candidate. This isn't a first-round pick. I mean, Tennessee, what if they come in and say that about Cam Ward? Is that a different story? That is the number 1 overall pick, who did show some signs of improvement by the end of the year. He was given longer runway than Shedeur was because he had the whole season. But are you disqualifying guys in that regard? Remember, Arizona famously moved on from Josh Rosen immediately.
That's true, but I didn't hear what Nick said. So what did he say exactly? You said
that he thinks it's a disqualifier if a candidate comes in and has a lot of negative things to say about Shedeur. Well, he thinks that's a disqualifier.
I don't think that's I think that's a short-sighted thing, but I don't want to accuse Nick of doing that. So I think more as, I would think if a guy came in, I want to coach, in the words of Mike Tomlin, I want a coach to go towards coaching. So you may say it's Owen Laudeman he's gonna interview for the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, and Owen comes in and goes, absolutely no way on earth can that guy be on this football team. Well, tell me why, but that's probably going to disqualify you. Like, I want to hear, hey, he's got this, this, and this, and I really don't think it's going to work, but I think I can do this. It's just, where are we going to go with him? That's what I would be open to hearing. I want a coach to go, hey, I can get him to this level. I don't think a coach should sit there and if he doesn't believe it, flat out lie to me and say, you can win a Super Bowl with this guy. If you don't believe it, tell me you don't believe it. But I also want you to say, if we are in a position with him, because I don't want a guy to look at his players and go, well, we can't do anything with these guys. Because you know what I heard out of that? I heard that out of Bubba Ventrone this year, where he just kept going, well, we got what we got. And I go, no. I want you to go towards coaching and find the best out of those guys. That's what I didn't like. That's why there's no way this year, next year, whatever year, if we're talking head coaches, and I know it's Browns related, so we never do that, but that disqualifies me. I don't like blaming players like that unless they are bad people and you just want to throw them under the bus. So if a coach comes in, see, I didn't hear what Nick is, Nick said, so I'm going to put different context on it. Sorry, Nick. I would say I would not want to hear a coach say absolutely not to anybody. But I want him to be honest and go, hey, if we work with him this year,
this is
you
the
might
time
be stuck
frame.
with him.
This is the time frame. This is how long it would take.
Exactly, because I can't guarantee you, Tone. I can't guarantee you Jones or Malik Willis or anybody out of the draft out of that. And I think that if you were to draft, there was, I think, an Athletic mock draft that had us taking Ty Simpson with that second pick in the first round. I go, oh, my God, we're going to do it all over again. I don't want to make that same mistake.
Oh, the end of the first round quarterback that we had fallen in love with years ago.
Exactly.
Brady Quinn,
Brandon Weeden, etc., etc. I don't want to do that. So I would like to hear it out of that head coaching candidate, whoever it may be. Tell me the truth about Shedeur. Tell me the truth. But also, I want to hear that you can take him to the very best. And tell me how you're going to take him to the best it is. Whether that's, hey, he can be a starting bridge quarterback in the league, fine. If you really do believe that he can be a Super Bowl champion for this football team at some point, tell me how you're going to get there. Because I think there's a lot of people in the building who probably like him, but I think nobody can say where he's going to be in the next 3 years. Whether it be with this organization, any organization in the NFL, there's been so much on any side of the pendulum. You have put out so much stuff about the stats. You had another stat you said I wouldn't like.
Oh, Kenny, you are not at all going to like Nate Silver's new statistic.
Well,
Qbert.
Do you have it real quick?
I do.
All right, go ahead real quick.
I do. Qbert, which takes into account rushing as well and has...
Play that video game.
The wins over replacement. It's a very baseball-loaded stat. Kenny, out of 78 qualified quarterbacks, Shedeur was 73 last year that played.
But I think a lot of Browns fans, even the guys who aren't head over heels with Shedeur, I go, I didn't see all that. Like, I saw him play. I didn't think he was that bad.
They had Dylan Gabriel.
As all these stats that are there.
They had Dylan Gabriel 57, and they had Joe Flacco, including his Cincinnati games, 36.
I didn't think that Shedeur, and I think a lot of Browns fans would agree. It's like, hey, is it the second coming? No, you can't say it yet, but I don't think he was as bad as any of these stats. But you see these charts, and he's at the bare bottom.
It's amazing. I cannot find a stat that supports him as a playable quarterback from last year, even though we watched the games.
But what you saw was a decent enough quarterback that you would want to give more time to.
And I know we like the Sal Cannella drop. Come on, that shit. But if you did that with every quarterback, they're basically saying he would still be towards the bottom, which just shows you how bad the offense was this year. That's our standard.